that for him now.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored. They did it.
Left.
Good evening, everyone. This is the Sports Hounds. Radio.com. He's Brad Ryer. I'm Ron Francis. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Periscope, Instagram. You miss anything here on A2D Radio? Download us wherever you get your podcast, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, iTunes. Takeover is real. A2D Radio is everywhere. Become an exclusive member at A2D Radio for $9.99 a month. $9.99 a month. You can get some amazing perks, including shout-outs, members-only shows, appearances, and weekly picks from the Money Pot Podcast, which airs every Sunday morning at 10:30. Sports Hounds also brought to you by Sunrise Detox Center. Many of us and our families deal with mental health and addiction issues. We are happy to support the counseling center at Sunrise Detox. If you need mental health therapy or addiction detox, call 856-651-8117. 8117. Tell them A2D Radio sent you. Also brought to you by Body Check Wellness, a line of products that promote wellness, balance, and recovery by using the full potential of hemp. They come in extracts, blends, gummies, and topicals. 25% off. Use the promo code A2D. Get your mind right. Get your body right with Body Check Wellness. We had a big show tonight. Right before we come on the air, Bryce Harper blasts a 2-run homer as the Phillies desperately try to string some wins together here, get themselves back into a wild card race, get themselves back into the National League East race. I think it's all fool's gold because I think the Phillies absolutely stink. They're frustrating. It's a tough It's a tough baseball product to watch here in Philadelphia, Brad.
They've been very inconsistent, and it's got to be disappointing that the fact that they ended up losing 4 out of 7 to the Arizona Diamondbacks. I mean, those are games you've got to beat the bad teams. Teams like that, you know, if you're going to make the playoffs, those are games you have to win. I mean, you can understand losing games to top teams, okay. You know, I mean, if you split series with top teams, that's understandable. But when you play a team like Arizona, I mean, you got to win all those games. Where they should have gone at worst 5-2. I mean, I would have been hoping for 6-1. Arizona's terrible. I just don't understand what happens to them.
They're not good. They're not a good team. That's what happens to them. I mean, you look at a National League lineup with, you know, a Brad Miller at first base and Andrew McCutchen in left field and a Odubel Herrera in center field. That's not going to get it done. It's not going to get it done. Now Dombrowski did a good job bringing in Gibson and Kennedy at the trade deadline to kind of bolster the rotation, because I think the 5 guys you're going to have in this rotation potentially next year. Look, we're already talking about next year. That's how out I am on this team. They stink, and I've been a positive advocate for this team's playoff chances all year, as I am every year with the Phillies, because it's way too long of a stretch to just be knee-jerk and willy-nilly, and I can't go through a whole summer of bad baseball. I have to at least somewhat root for them to get it together.
Well, to see the Braves come back and win 2 out of 3 against the Giants, I mean, that to me, that was a big deal.
It's a huge deal. It's almost it's almost to the point, Brad, where the division's over, and you have to hope that the Reds, the Padres, the Cardinals, and those other teams in the mix for the second wild card.
I got to be honest. Have you seen the Reds schedule? I took a look at it before.
But Brad, I always hear this about the schedule. You still got to win the games, because all I've been hearing is how easy the Phillies schedule is down the stretch, and they can't get nothing done. They make up no ground.
Yeah, but you know what? I think the difference with Cincinnati is Cincinnati can really hit. You know, I mean, the Phillies really right now are a one-man offense, and that's Bryce Harper.
Real Muto's not been good.
No.
Didi Gregorius is not – he's been horrible. They have Freddie Galvez is back from the DL. He's getting playing time now. McCutchen is over the hill. Herrera is what he is. Rhys Hoskins out for the year. That's a big loss, because this team, when Rhys Hoskins is doing good, you can tell he's a team leader, because they respond and they gel together and they string hits together and they get runs. And
he also
get excited when he's doing good.
Say what you want about his on-base percentage and all this other crap. The man knocks in runs and the man hits home runs. Okay? And you know what? when he's up, you have to be real careful how you pitch to him. Because I mean, all right, he's not one of these guys that's going to hit a good pitch out of the ballpark. He's a mistake home run hitter. But you know what? You better not make a mistake to him because he will hit the ball out. And he's proven that this year.
Getting back to the trade deadline and the pitchers they acquired in Kennedy and Gibson, that's all fine and good. But Brad, what you've been echoing about Joe Girardi for years, we now see clear eyes, full hearts here in Philadelphia. The guy is just not that great of a manager. He clearly only won in New York because they had
a great team,
a stacked team. I don't understand. I mean, I know you get the game in San Diego where Aaron Nola he's flirting with a perfect game, not a no hitter, but a perfect game. So you give him some leash, but once he loses that perfect game, once he loses that no hitter, you got to win the baseball game.
I agree with you.
You lose him way too long. He gives up some cookies, and they lose that game, and then he keeps Wheeler in a tie game in the ninth inning, which is just inexplicably. It's inexplicable.
I don't know why. That I don't understand. Why would you pitch him in the ninth inning? I mean, you don't have anybody in the bullpen that you could use.
And then he wants to throw his hands up at the press conference when the media asks him. He's like, he just says, well, I didn't know what to do. So basically, what he's saying is Zach Wheeler. He trusts Zach Wheeler more than he trusts anyone in his bullpen, even on.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, but Brad, once he starts walking guys and giving up doubles off the fence.
Oh yeah, I know. I was watching.
You gotta get him out.
I was watching the game. I finally figured out how I can watch the Phillies. If I go to the Major League Extra Innings score guide that has the little blocks with all the games on, it has all the games on. So that part isn't blocked. So I do get to. I have been watching a little bit of the Phillies, and yeah, I saw what he did. I saw what he did with having him pitch that inning. He was getting whacked around in the eighth inning, and then he brings him out for the ninth inning after Hoskins went and tied the game. And believe me, I was rooting for the Phillies. I wanted to see the Phillies win at least one game, and that didn't happen. And unfortunately, the Yankees got a split with Oakland. But I mean, Oakland is a good team. And honestly, for the last few years, the Yankees in Oakland have not even remotely done well. I mean, if you asked me 2 years ago, if we take a split in Oakland, I'd be signing up for it right now because that's how bad it's been in Oakland. So, a split for them when they have a 4-game lead on Oakland is fine. But, if you want to win the division, maybe Tampa Bay can start playing somebody other than Baltimore. I mean, 18-1. I mean, if this was British Premier League soccer, the Orioles would be in another league. They'd be in the minors.
Well, they should be in the minors based on how they.
What a disgrace! How do you lose 18 out of 19 games? I don't care. I don't care how good Tampa Bay is. I don't care how bad Baltimore is. They're a professional baseball team. Nobody should beat you 18 out of 19 games. At least have some pride and win like 4 or 5 games, for God's sakes.
So it certainly looks like, I mean, I don't know if there's enough time for your Yankees to catch Tampa Bay.
Well, Tampa Bay is playing 4 games against Boston this week. Okay? And then next week they have 3 more games against Boston. This week it's in Tampa Bay. Next week it's in Fenway Park. Oh, boy. No, Tampa Bay's already ahead 1-0, by the way, in the bottom of the first inning, so that's not a good sign. But in any event, no, I don't know. Listen, Tampa Bay's been playing great. I mean, if it comes down to the Yankees having to play the Red Sox, if the Yankees can get the game in Yankee Stadium, I feel pretty good about that. I would feel pretty good about handing the ball to our ace, Garrett Cole. And if they want to send out Chris Sale, fine. The Yankees have always beat up Chris Sale. Eovaldi doesn't go more than 5 innings against anybody these days anymore. So I don't have a problem with that. The Red Sox bullpen is horrible, as evidenced by what happened yesterday against Cleveland, blowing a 5-0 lead and then losing it, and then having the Indians score, I believe, 5 runs in the 9th inning. or maybe it was the 10th. I can't remember what it was, but the Indians came back from 5-0. I think it was 5-3 in the ninth inning, and the Indians ended up winning the game 7-5. So, Boston's bullpen is atrocious. Yankees get into that bullpen in a big game, they're going to beat them.
So we'll keep you updated on all the games. Phillies up 3-0. Zach Wheeler on the mound. They're in Washington. Washington stinks. They traded all their players. I need to see a sweep here. We'll talk about the American League. We'll talk about the National
Cincinnati and St. Louis are playing.
Big series. That's a big series as well.
So the Phillies have a chance to gain ground on both of those teams. They do have a chance to gain ground on teams ahead of them. They have to win these games. You get a break here. You play Milwaukee at the end of the week, which will end up being not the middle of the month. Excuse me. So that'll be a little bit of a test, but you get more cupcakes leading up to it. You gotta start piling up some wins. The thing with Milwaukee is Peralta is I think on the DL, isn't he? Didn't Freddie Peralta just hit the injured list?
I didn't see that. Eduardo Escobar's on the DL.
Yeah, I think they lost Freddie Peralta, so their big three is right now a big two. So the Phillies may catch a break. I don't know how long he's going to be out. I just heard that he was going to be on the injured list for. That he just got put on the injured list. Unless I misread, that's what it said in MLB trade rumors. So
we'll look at it. Let's get to our poll question, though. Going to be a big football show. We got predictions. We got hot takes. We got bowl predictions. We got Super Bowl picks. We got playoff picks. We got everything football tonight. This is the Sports Hounds official NFL preview show. We're going to lay it all out for you. We got so much to digest. I mean, you have the unfortunate injury to J.K. Dobbins over the weekend. I mean, he's going to be out for the year. Obviously, if you're living under a rock and you didn't do your fantasy draft yet, don't pick J.K. Dobbins. The Eagles.
That is unfortunate, but you know what? The Ravens have enough back. They have Williams still, and they have Gus the Bus Edwards in the backfield. So I think they'll have no problem running the ball.
I don't know.
And Lamar still is a weapon running the ball too, so I'm sure they'll be able to figure it out.
Ravens make me nervous. I'm not very high on the Ravens. To give you a little teaser to my AFC playoff picks, I'm a little cold on the Ravens.
You think they're going to make the playoffs?
I don't know yet.
Yeah, I can't see them not making the play. I can see
we don't do the notes here, so I have the teams in my head, and I don't know. What's good? I don't know what names are going to come out when the gun's to my head and I have to make my official predictions. I don't know. I am very confident in my Super Bowl prediction though, which I'll get to that later. Not a big trade, but a trade definitely worth noting regarding the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles make a trade with the Jacksonville Jaguars. They bring in Gardner Minshew for a 6th-round pick, could turn into a 5th-round pick based on playing time. This is a no-brainer move, especially when you don't have a clear franchise quarterback on your team, at least in my opinion. I know the takes are very polarizing on Jalen Hurts. The people who hate Carson and they thought Carson stunk, think Jalen Hurts is the greatest thing since sliced bread. The Team Carson guys like me, they have serious questions about whether Jalen Hurts is a franchise quarterback in this league.
Don't forget, Rob, the backup quarterback is always the most popular guy in the ballpark. You know that. It's always been that way.
Yeah, just ask Nick Foles.
Yeah, but every team, when the quarterback is stinking it up, the backup quarterback is always the most popular guy in the stadium. That's been like that forever.
Well, you can't. Eagles fans shouldn't read too much into this. Because Jalen Hurts is going to get his shot. He's going to get his shot. He's going to get his a fair shot. Joe Flacco is really old. He's only going to be here for 1 year. Gardner Minshew is not only under contract for this year, but he's on the hook for about $850 next year. So either you have a starting quarterback who, by the way, was drafted in 2019 in the Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones draft class. Dwayne Haskins. Gardner Minshew is the highest-rated passer that has come out of the 2019 quarterback draft class. So you get him for $850 for the next 2 years, whether he starts, whether he's backup, whether he's third string. He's proven he can throw for 300 yards in this league. He's proven he can somewhat play. And you bolstered your quarterback room for a 6th-round pick, maybe a 5th-round pick. It's an absolute no-brainer because Nick Mullins, I watched him in the preseason, and that dude can't play.
No, he's terrible.
Can't play.
No, he's an upgrade. He's an upgrade. He's an upgrade as far as your backup quarterback situation. And if something happens, at least you'll be somewhat competitive at the quarterback level with him in there.
So there's like one of three. There's like 3 ways this can pan out. The Eagles are a disaster. Jalen Hurts a disaster, and Gardner Minshew gets some time this year, which he's proven he can somewhat play in this league, way more than Nick Mullins. And Joe Flacco is 42. So I would actually favor Gardner Minshew once he gets up to speed on the playbook and how Sirianni wants to do things. I would actually favor him as the backup quarterback as opposed to Joe Flacco. And please don't tell me that Joe Flacco looked good in preseason. Like, who cares? I'd much rather have the 25-year-old in there than the 40-year-old. That's just me, though. So
you can't look at preseason seriously.
So either that happens.
Most teams weren't even playing their starters ever in the preseason.
So
several quarterbacks never played, several star defensive players never played, several receivers never played. There were a lot of running backs who didn't play at all in the preseason. It's after seeing what happened to Dobbins, you can understand why.
Yeah, I don't give a rat's patoot that Jalen Hurts played 10 snaps in the preseason.
Yeah,
that doesn't reflect my opinion of him at all.
Yeah,
I think he's going to have a decent season, at least good enough for the Eagles to be like, okay, we can use these 3 first-round picks on non-quarterbacks, try and bolster up the team around them, and see if we can develop this guy a little more so that I can feel good about him in the franchise quarterback. But back to Gardner Minshew, either the Eagles are going to stink and Jalen Hurts is going to be a disaster and Minshew plays this year, or you have a quarterback that's proven to be able to play in this league as your backup for the next 2 years at $850,000, which is nothing, or Jalen Hurts stinks, and he's so much of a disaster that you have to draft a quarterback in the first round, like a Sam Howell out of UNC, who I love, and you have Gardner Minshew as the transition guy to Sam Howell or whoever they pick for $800,000.
I think that's the most likely scenario because neither one of these guys are legitimate franchise starting quarterbacks in the NFL. They're the drag left after the top 20, 25 quarterbacks. I mean, neither one of them are really good. I mean, they may be acceptable, but that's about it. And Bobby Dalbeck just ties it up in Tampa Bay. So Boston and Tampa Bay are now tied at 1.
All right, we're going to get to the NFC East. We'll talk more Eagles. We'll talk Giants. We're talking AFC. We'll talk NFC. Let's get to our poll question. Our poll question brought to us by Alan Foy at EXP Realty. Looking to buy or sell a home, looking for a change in career or brokerage, contact Alan Foy of EXP Realty, 302-682-8820, or visit him at alan.foy@exprealty.com. Poll question tonight. Super Bowl talk. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the defending Super Bowl champion, the Tom Brady-led Tampa Bay Buccaneers will repeat as Super Bowl champions. Brad, do you agree or disagree to the poll?
I disagree. I don't think they're going to repeat as Super Bowl champions. I like the Rams. I especially like the Rams now that Sonny Michel has been traded to the Rams. I think that's a huge boost for them. And the funny thing is with the Rams, and you're going to think I'm nuts, and I'm sure a lot of fans out there are going to think I'm nuts about saying this. I think the Seattle Seahawks will win the division, but I think the Rams are going to end up going to the Super Bowl, and I think the Rams are going to end up in the wild card and beat the Seattle Seahawks just like they did last year.
Yeah, it's not a good look for the Seahawks.
Well, look, the Seahawks are a good team, and I think as the regular season goes, I think they'll put up enough wins to end up winning a very difficult division. But I could see 2 teams coming out of that division as playoff teams. I really can. I'm looking. You look at the NFL right now.
I mean, there's a pathway for all 4 of them to make it.
That would be difficult.
Possible. It's difficult. It'd be difficult, but the 7-team playoff, like you could have all 4 teams in the division.
No, I realize. No, I realize that. But the only thing is they're playing each other, and that's gonna hurt their chances. But that is a good division. All those teams are pretty good. So that's the issue there. That's what I'm saying. I think the Rams could end up coming in second. I could definitely see that happening. But I could see them also getting to the Super Bowl. I love this trade with Stafford, and I think bringing in Michelle. I think Michelle, you're going to see him getting the ball a lot, which he didn't in New England. New England has always used running back by committee, which is fine. But I think this is a guy who's got a lot of ability and was underused and underexploited by Bill Belichick. And I think in the Rams case, he's going to be a big star in Los Angeles. Was underused and
yeah, I agree. I love I love the Sony Michel trade for the Rams, and it's not a bad pick. I want to disagree with the poll, and here's why. Obviously, I have no leg to stand on in terms of like talking smack on Tampa Bay Buccaneers or Tom Brady and the roster they have back. Well,
I'm not talking smack either. It's very hard to win 2 in a row.
It's very hard to win back to back.
I don't think they're going to do it. It's nothing against Tom Brady. It's nothing against Tampa Bay's defense or anybody else. I mean, I respect that team. They're a very good team. It's really hard to win 2 in a row, and I don't think it takes a lot of all-time greatness for a team to win 2 in a row, and I don't think that by any means is an all-time great team.
I see Tampa Bay starting slow this year. I don't know why. I don't like. Everyone wants to talk about they have all 22 starters back. I kind of look at that as a little bit of a bad thing, because what happens? What happened when your man Jerry Reese gave out all those thank you contracts after the Giants won?
They went right down the toilet.
Okay, and then the Eagles kind of did the same thing after 2017.
Exactly.
They went right down the toilet. The reason, obviously, the New England.
You've got to move guys out and bring new guys in.
Hungry guys.
You got to have that hunger. I don't know that all these guys are going to have that hunger. I mean, winning that first Super Bowl for a lot of these guys. I mean, Brady obviously has it. Brady's always going to be competing for a Super Bowl. He's always right in there. But what about the other guys?
Outside of Tom Brady, though, in New England, and obviously they had a great stable of coaching who were prepared and scouted and really knew what they were doing. You know, those New England teams from year to year, I mean, 30% of the roster, 40% of the roster, sometimes some years even 50% of the roster was turned over. They brought in new guys.
But that was mostly the offense that they turned over. The defense they pretty much kept the same. And would make a few changes when guys got started.
Yeah, but you know, then they brought in Revis and they brought in Junior Seau and they brought in Rodney Harrison, and you know they shuffled out like great All-Pro Hall of Fame guys like Ty Law and Richard Seymour. They ushered those guys out.
Don't forget Teddy Bruschi.
Teddy Bruschi was a Mike Teddy Bruschi, Vrabel, some of those linebackers they had.
They were tremendous.
They were tremendous, and they were constants. I mean, you give like Vince Wilfork was there for a while, you know. But for the most part, like you know, you get Wes Welker out, you bring in Julian Edelman, you bring in Randy Moss, hungry from the Raiders, to bring that. I know they didn't win that year because your Giants upset them, but you know, you turn over, you adopt almost a whole new different philosophy after the Randy Moss era. You revolutionized 12 personnel with Hernandez and Gronk. So like you have to, even though you have to evolve and you have to change things over. Like I'm not really buying that they're just going to blow through this league with the same exact team, even though that's like the popular take. I'm going to take it second level, and I'm going to kind of try and frown on that as possible, because I think you need to turn over rosters and bring in hungrier guys. They need a running back. They need a consistent running back to step up in Tampa. I know Leonard Fournette has a lot of talent. I know Ronald Jones has shown flashes. I know they have Giovanni Bernard coming over from Cincinnati, and they have a running back drafted a couple years ago out of Vanderbilt named Keshawn Vaughn, who I think can run the ball at.
Rob, they're loaded. There's no question that they're loaded. It's very hard to win 2 in a row. And I think I saw somebody make a comment just now about that, how hard it is to win 2 in a row. I just don't think Tampa Bay is going to be able to do that. And I see the Rams. I see Matthew Stafford coming over as a very, very hungry player, and a guy who definitely wants to win. And he's got a lot to prove. And you know what? He can prove a lot by coming over to LA and bringing them to the Super Bowl. They've got a lot of talented players on that team. You know, there's a lot of good offensive players on that team. There is no reason why they can't be in the Super Bowl, and I think they will be. But I do like Seattle for the division. It's just, you can say I'm nuts. How do you pick one team over another to win a division, and then the playoffs are different? That is my opinion. I think that Seattle would be a good regular season team, but once the playoffs come, when you're just playing against the top teams all the time, top teams have a habit of being able to slow down the other team's top players.
Seattle makes me nervous. Seattle makes me nervous every year, Brad. They see in November.
The Rams have enough guys in their secondary to keep Seattle's vaunted pass receivers somewhat. Nobody's going to completely keep them under control, but to at least slow them down a little bit.
I mean, no one covered DK Metcalf like Jalen Ramsey did.
Jalen Ramsey is the best.
Jalen Ramsey is the only one who's physical enough, who can play physical and somewhat get calls because of how good he is, not get called for PI every play, to hang with DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf is just too big and too strong and too physical.
Yeah, but that makes a big difference when they're playing each other. That's what I'm saying. It may not make a difference during the regular season when everybody else is playing each other, but if they have to play each other in the playoffs, I think the Rams beat them.
Seattle just seems to peak in November, mid to late November,
and they end up having very puzzling losses. Seattle. Right. I mean, look at the Giant game. I mean, the game was a lot closer than it really was. The Giants killed them in that game, even though I think the final score was 16-12 or something like that, or 16-11. But I mean, if the Giants actually had Daniel Jones quarterbacking in that game instead of their backup.
Geno Smith? Who played that game? Geno Smith?
No, who played for the Giants that game? Colt McCoy.
Colt McCoy, that's right.
Yeah, Colt McCoy is terrible. Colt McCoy makes Daniel Jones look like Aaron Rodgers. And listen, that's really hard to do.
Yeah, because Daniel Jones stinks.
Well, he's not Aaron Rodgers, that's for sure.
Let's get to some comments. Don't forget to hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn those notifications on. Don't miss any content here at A2D Radio. Things are about to pop in a couple weeks when football gets going here. MLB pennant races. We're making all of our NFL picks. This is our Sports Hounds official NFL preview show. We got some comments rolling in. Tom Arnone's in the house. Chuck's Manaran's in the house. He disagrees with the poll. He's got the Packers. I think that's a smart pick.
That's a solid pick.
Cole Brown's in the house. Rob Povey is in the house. He disagrees. Too hard to go back to back. Tom Arnone disagrees. He also says it's hard to go back to back. Hard to go back to back. I think the NFC South sets up really well for them though.
Yeah, I think the only team that's going to be over 500 in the NFC South besides Tampa Bay is New Orleans, but I'm looking at New Orleans as being a 9-8 team.
I want to pick Carolina so bad as a sleeper team, but their offensive line is just
I don't like Carolina.
Not there.
And Darnold really was disappointed.
He was on the Jets. He's at a toxic situation.
Yeah, but he didn't play well either. I understand he was in a toxic situation. I'll give him that, but he didn't play well. I mean, he didn't have any weapons either. But and now he's got a great running back. I understand that, but I don't see that team being more than a 5 to 6 win team at the most. I mean, maybe. I mean, listen, you want to pick them as your sleeper team? You never know. I mean, that's why there's.
I don't know. I've been mulling my sleeper teams all day, and when the gun's to my head and I got to say something, we'll see what comes out. We'll see what comes out. But I want to pick Carolina so bad. And here a little bold prediction. I think Jameis is going to do well. I think Jameis Winston has a career year. I
can see that. I can see that. I mean, look, they're well coached. And Sean Payton knows what he's doing down there. He really does. And, you know what? The one thing that I'll say that I like about having Jameis Winston as your quarterback is that you can still use Taysom Hill in the kind of situations he's used to playing in. So, you know, you can still have the little package for him in the game, and he can still be a very dangerous player. We'll see. I think a real strong-minded coach can change him, and I think this is an example of what might be able to happen. I mean, we'll see.
Well, if he doesn't do anything with this, then
this is his opportunity.
Out.
Yeah, if not, he's going to be done.
He'll be a career backup if he's lucky, but most likely, probably
he'll end up playing for 50 different teams in the next 5 years, and then he'll be out of the NFL. You know, I like him. I like the Saints to be 9-8. That's my honest opinion. I think that's as good as it gets for them.
Because I think that last wild card in the NFC is going to be interesting.
I can think about that one. I think San Francisco and LA are going to get the first two behind Seattle. And then I really have to think about who I like as the third one, because I hate the Central Division. I think the Central Division is dreadful. I don't think the Vikings are a 500 team. I could see them being 8-9. I don't think they're very good at all. Detroit will be lucky to win 3 games.
I think they're one of the leaders.
They have a chance to get the first pick in the draft. Detroit, they're particularly horrible.
They do. I think Oakland stinks too.
Yeah, but they're not on that level though.
Houston's gonna stink.
Houston's gonna be on that. No, Deshaun is gonna keep him at least somewhat respectable.
He's not gonna play though. I mean,
is he? Are you sure about that? I haven't heard anything about him being.
I don't think they're interested in him playing for the Houston Texans at all. I read a source today on Twitter that said he's going to be on the roster all season and he won't be active for any games.
Really? Well, then they'll be a 2-win team then.
I mean, who knows? I mean, Tyrod Taylor, Jacksonville, they stink, but they at least have Trevor Lawrence.
They'll win 4 to 5 games. That would be my guesstimate. If you put a gun to my head, I would say that they'll win 4 games.
Brian Daly checks in. They have the same roster going into the season. I do think they have a good chance to repeat, but I think someone will upset them. That's in regards to the poll question. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will repeat as Super Bowl champions. Jake Friel, he agrees to the poll, but he could also see Green Bay winning. Boy, Green Bay better hope that.
Green Bay is in one of the worst divisions in the NFL right now. Our division's the worst. But Green Bay has a absolute cakewalk to first place this year. The Vikings stink. They're terrible. 8-9.
You think they stink?
I think they stink.
8-9 doesn't stink, Brad.
No, come on. It's not good. They're just not good.
Yeah, but that's not stink.
It's pretty bad.
8-9?
They look terrible last year.
Going 500?
They're not going to be 500. They're going to be under 500.
Okay, but one game under 5. I know no one's going to go 500 anymore because they play an extra game.
The Bears will be lucky to win 6 games, and Detroit is going to win maybe 2.
What are the Bears doing? Just start Justin Fields.
I don't know what they're doing, Rob. They seem to be clueless right now.
How can you look your locker room? Forget about the fans and the people who do podcasts and follow the Bears like we follow the Eagles and the Giants. How can you look your locker room in the face? Two things tell me that Andy Dalton is the best quarterback that gives you the best chance to win the most games. That's laughable because I think Nick Foles gives you more of a chance to win football games than Andy Dalton, let alone Justin Fields, who I love coming out of Ohio State. How can you look your locker room in the face and what I know it's preseason, it doesn't mean anything, but the athleticism and potential that he's shown in both practice and preseason games that Justin Fields doesn't give you the best chance to win? It's baffling to me. You just want to baby these kids along? Like, that's great, Matt Nagy. You're going to baby your way right out of a job because if you don't do good in Chicago here, if you mess up, if you fuck up Justin Fields in this quarterback situation after all the capital you gave the New York Giants to trade up for him, you're going to be out. And he's already on thin ice.
I would say this. The Bears are not going to make the playoffs.
I don't even know, Brad, what kind of playoff team goes to the playoffs and then lets their starting quarterback walk away?
Because he was awful last year.
But he wasn't awful. They went to the playoffs. And he didn't play in all the games. So who knows how many games they would have won if they started from the start. What did they start, 1-4 last year? Because
he played
was just a bum.
When he played the playoff game against the Saints, they didn't have one first down in the second half.
Well, they're playing the Saints in the Superdome.
I know, but come on, 3 and out on every single possession.
But, I mean, that's the best. They did what they were supposed to do. They got to the playoffs. Nobody even thought they were even going to get to the playoffs. You wanted to beat New Orleans in New Orleans?
No, I don't expect them to beat New Orleans in New Orleans, but I do expect them to get a first down. Is it too much to ask for them to do that?
But, I mean, do you remember that game? Remember they pulled that trick play right in the guy's hands and he dropped it?
Yeah. No, I remember that game because I remember – Rob, the reason I remember that game is because they had no first downs in the second half. And I wanted to see the Bears win that game. You know, I mean, they had no first downs in the second half. That's terrible.
So, I don't know. So I think the Bears can be a little bit of a surprise team if they start Justin Fields. Yeah, surprise being like in contention for a wild card and finishing second to the Packers in the NFC North.
Well, they could finish second. That they could do, but again, I don't see them winning more. I don't see them winning more than 6 games with their roster right now. I don't think they're going to score enough points, and I think that with this situation with Fields, where there's a lot of doubt whether how many games they're going to use him, and they're going to wait. You know what? If they don't let him play for the first couple of games, just so he can sit and watch for a couple of games, I might be able to consider that. But I mean,
the Eagles started Carson Wentz. He went 8-8. Then he took the jump to an MVP level season, and then we'll see how he rebounds after the bottom fell here in Philadelphia. The Seahawks started Russell Wilson right away.
I know they did, and when they had Russell Wilson, I think they had just signed that quarterback that used to play with Green Bay to big money, and Russell Wilson.
Yeah, Matt Flynn. You're right.
Yeah, Matt Flynn, and they beat him, and he beat him out, and nobody expected that. But you know what? If the guy is better during preseason. I mean, you're watching him and you're watching him work out. You're watching all these guys work out. If Mike Nagy thinks that he's not ready to start the season as the starting quarterback, all right, fine. This isn't going to be their year anyway. They're not going anywhere this year, the Bears. And they're certainly not going to be any better.
How do you know that? Look, I have a higher opinion of Justin Fields than most. But, look at what you got. Look at what you got in Chicago. If you put a dynamic franchise potential guy like Justin Fields at QB1, you have David Montgomery. He's a pretty good running back. Allen Robinson's a terrific receiver. Darnell Mooney's a pretty good receiver.
Their offensive line stinks.
Their
defense is pretty good.
But I mean, you have Mack, you have Goldman, you have I
don't think they're going to score enough points, Robin. Listen. I think Fields is going to be good, but rookie quarterbacks turn the ball over a lot. That's just what happens when you have a rookie quarterback. They make rookie quarterback mistakes.
Well, Andy Dalton, he's not going to turn. He's got no potential, and he's going to turn the ball over a lot too.
I'm not saying Andy Dalton's better than him. I'm just saying that they're going to end up using either him or Foles first, and then they'll bring him. They'll spoon feed him and get him in there by week 3 or week 4, something like that.
Nick Foles has got to be traded too. You would think in the coming days that Nick Foles is going to get moved as well in a Gardner Minshew type deal.
I think that they're just waiting for somebody to get injured so they can try to get more for him.
Well, Foles might get cut because he's not on that big money contract anymore.
No. As I said, they'll wait, and when somebody needs a quarterback because their quarterback.
I'd watch Dallas. I'd watch Dallas with Foles. I know that's going to make Eagles fans cringe, but you got to think that they need to do something at their backup quarterback position with Dak already banged up with the shoulder.
Yeah, but Dak's going to play week 1, and we'll see what happens. I somehow think that Dak is so good, he's going to will these guys to win games. I mean, right now, and I guess I have to be honest, I'm looking at 9-8 for the Dallas Cowboys.
I mean, maybe. Greg Malakovic checks in. What's up, fellas? It's tough to repeat, but we know TB12 can do it. I'll agree to the poll. The Bucs are still loaded. Yeah, Brad. And the Bucs also are going to have Antonio Brown, one of the best receivers I've ever seen, fully engaged and
You sure?
No, I'm not sure. When I say fully engaged, he'll have a full year with Tom Brady in that facility, and a full year with that coaching staff, and a full year with that playbook. That's what I mean by engaged. Who knows where he's going to be mentally?
You know what? If
Brown doesn't know where he is mentally.
If he gets his head out of his ass, I guess. Hate to say that on the air, but if he gets his head out of his ass, he could really be just an incredible player. I mean, he's got all the talent in the world, and he's shown it. He showed it a lot with Pittsburgh. I don't know what happened with him. Maybe it was all the hits went to his head. I don't know. He just became.
Remember he got laid out in that playoff game when he was on the Steelers with the Bengals. Those thugs on Cincinnati were just
yes. I do remember.
And if you kind of think about it,
that was the game they choked at the end, right?
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it before. They choked it away. And if you think about it, I mean, he's never really been stable since that.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't know what happened to him, but maybe he's got something wrong with him. Maybe something in his brain isn't functioning right. I don't know. It's just very weird that he seemed to be a pretty good citizen and a remarkable football player. And then he just – I mean, do you remember that game against the Ravens when he single-handedly beat the Ravens in that playoff game?
Yeah. He's unbelievable. He's one of the best receivers I've ever seen.
He scored when he was stopped at the 1-yard line, and I think three guys couldn't stop him from nudging the ball over the goal line. I mean, you see plays like that, and then you see the way he's been, and it's like, what happened? And Bryce Blackwell just made a comment, and I totally agree with him about that. He hasn't been the same since that hit. Bryce, you're right, and that's really been that seems to be the issue with him, I guess. A lot of ability with that guy, and he will draw double teams regardless of how nuts he is. And if he can somehow keep a level head and play with his brain and not let his behavior screw things up for him, that team really is going to be very tough to beat. I just don't think they're going to win because winning twice in a row is almost impossible. Plus a lot of it is that the NFL, it's just so hard to keep your team completely healthy 2 years in a row too. I mean, that's a lot of it. Let's be honest. Okay? Very hard. The NFL is a brutal game played by warriors. Okay, these guys are absolute warriors. They go out there. They're like gladiators. They go out there, and a lot of them, it's very hard to see a team not get a lot of injuries 2 years in a row. They may be on top 1 year in a row and not get injuries, but it just seems like nobody seems to escape it 2 years in a row. That's why you never have championship teams 2 years in a row, the same ones. Would you agree?
Yeah, makes it why it's so hard to repeat.
Yeah, because it's such a brutal game.
Bryce likes Bills, Browns, Chiefs, Colts, Ravens, Chargers in his AFC playoffs.
Yeah, I'll get to the AFC in a minute.
We'll get to our predictions a little bit later. Jake Friel, 36 TDs, 11 INTs in Minshew's 2 years. Very solid backup option if Hurts goes down. Peter Evans, he agrees to the poll. So it's 7 teams. So Bryce likes Miami. Bryce likes Minnesota and Arizona as sleepers. Matt Walsh, NFC West will be the most competitive division in the NFL this season. He's probably right about that.
Yeah, I agree 100% about that. That's a killer division.
I think the AFC North would be.
That's a pretty good division.
The AFC.
The AFC North. The only difference is the AFC North. The Bengals still stink.
Yeah, but I think the Bengals. I don't think they're going to roll over. What, 5-6 games for the Bengals?
I give them 5. I think that's a good. That's a good forecast. Listen, best case scenario 6, but I give them 5. I mean, they'll be a little better this year, but it's a long way back.
Brian Wilson, he's in the house. He disagrees with the poll. It's hard to repeat. Matt Walsh, Eagles aren't the only team in Philly that held onto players from a Super Bowl roster for too long. Phillies did the same thing after winning the World Series. I mean, yeah, it just proves my point on why I think I'm not picking Tampa Bay to repeat. You're bringing back 100% of the roster. Yeah, that sounds great when you're filling out your futures bets and making your preseason predictions. But
if they're a young team, yes, but that's not a young team. Most of those guys are right towards the end of their primes. So, I mean, do they have another year of top performance in them? That's what we're going to have to find out. And can they stay healthy all year? That's the other thing. And I'm not wishing injuries on anybody. I'm not. That's not what I'm trying to say. If anybody's trying to make like, oh well, you're saying that they're going to get hurt. I'm not saying they're going to get hurt. I'm just saying it's very difficult to not have a lot of injuries 2 years in a row. That just doesn't happen in the NFL very often. Look at your Eagles. When was the last time the Eagles were able to maintain a situation where they stayed healthy 2 seasons in a row?
2 seasons in a row. They were healthy for 1 season in 2017, and they won the championship.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. And then each year they got more. That the injuries devastated their roster more and more and more. And the last 2 seasons, I mean, they've been basically devoured by injuries.
I don't even know if you can say they were healthy in 2017. I mean, Carson got hurt, the MVP of the league. Jason Peters got hurt. He was still in his prime at left tackle. Darren Sproles got hurt. He was just a dynamic, do-everything player in 2017.
But that year, the Eagles just had the it factor. That was one of those years they weren't going to be denied. Just it was that they had that it factor that year, and they won. And they nothing was going to stop them.
Matt Walsh, Bears defense have not carried them the past few seasons. Nagy's offenses have been vanilla his entire time in Chicago. And they don't have an offensive line. They just neglect the offensive line. They do have a good defense, though, and I believe in Justin Fields. So we'll see with the Bears.
Bill Middlebrook mentioned that the Patriots, but that was back in 2002, 2004, and 2005. Yeah, but that was a long time ago. It's hard. It's hard to do it. I mean, the one team I really thought was going to win more than one Super Bowl in a row was the Seattle Seahawks with the Legion of Boom,
right?
With that defense, and even them, guys started getting hurt, and they couldn't They couldn't maintain it. And listen, that New England team, that run that they went on, especially back in those years, Bill Belichick just was able to get the groceries, bring them in every year, make a few changes, get the one great player he needed all the time, and put him in the right spot. Always seemed to find an all-pro type cornerback. And, they just – ironically, the best team that they probably ever had got beat in the Super Bowl. But, I mean, they were 18-0 that year. They just couldn't get it done at the end. But that may have been the best team of all.
You're probably right.
And to say that and to show you that they lost that game just tells you how hard it is to do what they did, and why Tom Brady it's incredible what he's been able to do.
Sidney Jones got traded to the Seattle Seahawks. Good for him. Thanks, Bryce, for bringing that to the table. Read that one. John Burke, they have Tom and he doesn't lose, so I guess he agrees to the poll. President of Tom Brady fan club right there, John Burke. The NFC East cost Brady 3 rings. It's true.
That is true.
Nick Foles beat him. Eli Manning beat him twice.
Right.
Let's talk about the East, Brad, because I don't have much respect for your Giants. You don't have much respect for my Eagles. Seems like I think the Giants are going to stink, and you think the Eagles are going to stink.
They might end up both stinking. So that's entirely possible.
Well, the Giants definitely stink, Brad. I'll tell you that right now. The Giants definitely stink. I don't see them going anywhere with Daniel Jones as the quarterback, who I think stinks, and an offensive line that still has a tremendous amount of questions. You spend the 4th pick in the draft on Andrew Thomas out of Georgia.
He got a lot better last year as the season went along.
He needs to lock that down for the next 10 years at a somewhat level.
He's got to
pick in the draft.
He's got to play the way he did the last 5-6 games of the season. He's got to be that way the entire season. If he's not, then the Giants obviously they have a young offensive line. I think that they're going to continue to improve. We'll see, because here's the thing: Rudolph didn't play in the preseason. Galladay didn't play in the preseason. Saquon Barkley didn't play in the preseason. Daniel Jones played the first half on Sunday afternoon. Played well, but that was it for him. We'll see. I mean, the Giants. I think the Giants could win the division. I think they could finish anywhere in this division. They could win it, or they could end up coming in third. I mean, I think that's where it goes with the Giants. I don't think they're as bad as the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to be in for a long season. From everything I've read, from a lot of people who are forecasting, most people are saying anywhere from 4-13 to 5-12 at the best. So I don't think the Giants are going to be quite that bad. If they're bad, I could see 6-11, in that range. But I don't think they're going to be that bad. I think they're going to be a lot better than that.
John Malmos, I don't think it's not so much Daniel Jones and the G-men. Their O-line is brutal. I think Washington is a sleeper in the division. I don't understand how Washington's a sleeper if they're the defending champions, but okay, Washington could win this division.
Washington's not a sleeper by any stretch. Washington, I don't know. Washington destroyed the Cowboys when they had Dak Prescott on the team. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but they did. And they didn't do it once. They did it twice. And the Cowboys, as good as their offense can be, their defense last year was more of a problem than their offense. Because their defense gave up a zillion points. Their defense couldn't stop anybody in a big spot. That happened to them all the time. I mean, they had a couple of games when DiNucci was quarterbacking, which just they looked like a Bob Warner team. But
He was terrible.
yeah, but when they had Dak the first 4 games, they were 1-3, and when Dalton came in, they were okay. But then when he got hurt and they put in DiNucci, they completely fell apart. And their defense, by the way, was awful the entire season. I mean, I think I remember the Cleveland Browns put up, 39 points on them in the first half?
A bunch. Yeah, Atlanta lit them up. A bunch of teams lit them up.
Yeah, I mean, they gave up 46 points to Washington last year. So
The only thing I'm going to say about their defense, I think they're going to be greatly helped out by switching schemes. Gus Bradley comes in, who
can't be worse.
The biggest fan of, but they're going to switch from a 3-4 to a 3-4, which I think they're better suited to play with the pass rushing personnel they have and the linebacker personnel.
You mean a 4-3 to a 3-4?
No, they were in a 3-4.
Oh, okay. So they're going to be in a 4-3.
Now they're going to be in a 4-3.
Okay.
That cover one base. Gus Bradley, he's not that great of an innovator. I mean, yeah, it's easy to just run cover one every play when you have the Legion of Boom and Bobby Wagner and Michael Bennett rushing the passer. Of course you're going to have a good defense there. But he went to Jacksonville and flopped. And now he's going to be the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys, and they can't be any worse. The Cowboys' defense can't be any worse than last year. They just can't.
No, but
I
think it'll be a little. I think it'll be a little better, but I think it's going to be marginally better. It'll be better because it just can't get any worse than it did last year. Last year probably was one of the worst defensive teams that team's ever had in their history.
And I think this Dak Prescott stuff, I think it's a little bit overblown. I think it's a little bit of fake news just so they have something to talk about in regards to the Dallas Cowboy quarterback situation because it's the most.
If he was really hurt, he wouldn't be playing.
So
they wouldn't risk if he was compromised in any way. Do you think they would risk playing him in game 1? Because I don't.
No, I don't even think he would be practicing, which he's practicing.
Yeah, so I mean, I think he'll be fine.
I didn't notice if he played any in preseason, but
I didn't notice either. But
I would assume no.
He's playing. He's playing. By the way, the Washington Nationals have put 2 runs on the board, and it's now 3-2.
Yeah, he's just not sharp tonight. I don't know what's going on, but I mean, there's a grounder. Looks like he got out of it. Yep, got out of it. Got Josh Bell to ground out the second. So Phillies hold it on 3-2.
And going to the top of the 3rd.
Already 3-2. I mean, better get some more runs. Got to get some more runs. But, getting back to the Cowboys, and look, if Dak Prescott is just out there, his presence alone, you're going to have to account for him. Ben DiNucci, you didn't have to account for. Bradley Gilbert or whatever his name was, you didn't have to account for him.
No.
Just load up the box with Verzeek, and then you're going to get home because their offensive line was injured last year. So offensive line health, Dak Prescott health, and a new defensive scheme that is better suited for their personnel. I think that makes Dallas.
You would think they could go 9. I would think that they would go 9-8.
I think they'll win 10 games.
I think they'll
win 10 games.
They could. I think that would be pushing it. I think everything has to go right. I think Dak is going to have to play every game for them to win 10. If he misses any games, they're going to lose. Unless, as you said, and you may have called it correctly, I think that a guy like Nick Foles would be a awesome pickup.
I read online that they were they didn't want to offer they didn't want to offer anything for Gardner Minshew in a trade because they thought Urban Meyer was just going to cut him. I mean, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Gardner Minshew is not going to get cut. They're going to easily be able to find a trade partner for a 25-year-old quarterback that's statistically the best quarterback in the 2019 draft, only making $850,000. The only reason they would have
he's not a good quarterback, though. I mean, he's just not. He's a backup.
Serviceable guys like that only making $850,000 on their contract. They just don't get cut.
Yeah, that's a help.
If he was making $5, $6, $7 million a year, then maybe he gets cut. But an $850,000 borderline starter, excellent backup quarterback option isn't going to get cut.
Yeah, there was no reason for them to cut him. I mean, they got what they could for him, and they move on. Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback there, and they're going to win. They're going to either live or die with him. They expect him to be a franchise quarterback. I think all of us expect at some point that he's going to be a franchise quarterback, and the guy needs to play.
John Malmos, great show. You guys on phone and Tucker on TV. Now the poll question: if Tampa Bay baseball team wins the World Series and the Bucs win it all, the city of Tampa is on a winning streak. Yeah, because if you want to take hockey into account too, I mean, you got a dynasty down there in terms of hockey as well.
Yeah, you got two Stanley Cups. You got a Super Bowl.
It's back to back, right? You
got a team who was in the World Series last year and looking very, very good this year. I'm sure that you guys were pretty impressed with the Tampa Bay Rays when they took care of the Phillies twice in a row. I mean, that's a really good baseball team.
Yeah, but the Phillies stink.
Yeah, but they're good though. There's no question about that.
Who, Tampa?
They're exactly what I say they are. They're the kind of team you don't understand how they win all these games, but then when you look at the scoreboard at the end of the game, you just lost again to them. And that's how it is.
They don't make mistakes. They're robots. They're machines that they make no money. They have no egos. They have no prima donna attitudes. They just go out there and they catch the ball, and they got a couple bashers that can drive in some runs.
Yes, and then they added Nelson Cruz, who's back, and that's not going to make it easy to beat them either.
Bill Middlebrook, I believe the final stands will be 9-8, 8-9, 8-9, 7-10. And first through fourth is a flip of the coin. But I'm staying optimistic that it's the Birds have a better secondary D-line and O-line. Look fine. If Hurts, the backfield, and first-year and second-year receivers play well, why not? I mean, look, look. There's parts of this Eagles team, Brad, that I really like and I'm really excited about. And then there's weaknesses on this Philadelphia Eagles team that you can drive a semi-truck through, and that makes you kind of come back to earth and realize that this is probably going to be a rebuild year. Thank God they're in the NFC East, so you at least have a puncher's chance. Bryce Blackwell, they have no safeties, but there's pieces here. There are pieces here. Second-round pick Landon Dickerson was removed from the PUP list today. He's going to start practicing. That's going to be a left guard starter, potentially heir apparent at center to Jason Kelsey. The Eagles are really strong in the trenches on both sides of the football. I know they're not 25-year-old young guns anymore. That time is come and gone, Brad. But there's still guys in these trenches that can get it done.
They're all older players, and there's always a very strong possibility with older players that they get hurt. That's part of the problem. Yeah, that's what I kept telling you guys last year when they picked up who did they pick up the big fat guy that was on the Super Bowl team, and everybody made a big deal out of it. Peters, yeah. I mean, you guys have guys that are aging. They've all been injured, and how healthy can they continue to be? I mean,
I'm just saying that if they find a way, I mean, injuries are going to happen. There's no way around it. It's football. It's a warrior sport. It's a gladiator sport, as you pointed out earlier. But if they can get a majority of these proven guys in the trenches to stay healthy.
You could say that. Listen, you could say that about almost any team, though.
I can't say that about almost anyone because you have offensive line from center, right guard, right tackle is all pro caliber guy.
They're not all pros anymore, though.
It's still in. I mean, Jason Kelsey, I mean, he's still a beast.
He's getting old, Rob. He's no kid.
Okay, that's fine. That's why you have Landon Dickerson ready to step in when Jason Kelsey. But Jason Kelsey's the center. Jason Kelsey's still a good football player.
I'm not saying he's not, but he's not.
Brandon Brooks has come back from 2 Achilles injuries. So, like,
and
he knows how to rehab. He knows how to get himself ready.
How good do you expect him to be?
I don't expect him to be an all-pro like he's been in years past, the best right guard in the league.
I don't expect him to be very good at all because 1 Achilles injury.
I expect him to be a solid starter at right guard. And I
don't
think that's unrealistic. And Lane Johnson's one of the best tackles in the league still.
And I think it's unrealistic to expect either one of them to be able to play 17 games.
I mean, okay, but you have Malata at left tackle who looks encouraging. You have a guys on the interior that you can rotate in. Look, no one stays 100% healthy in the
No, I get
the trenches.
I get that. I'm just saying though.
There's a lot worse off offensive lines in the NFL than the Eagles' offensive line to start the season, and that's where it starts in the trenches, and it starts on the trenches on the defensive side of the ball. Fletcher Cox can still play. I know he's 30 years old now, but he can still play. He's still a really good player. Brandon Graham is just the ultimate constant. Just 6, 7, 8 sacks, a great locker room guy, solid starter. I don't expect that to change this year. Then you have.
Well, I think you've gone from a team. They had at one time the best offensive line in the league.
Right.
It's not anymore. It's not really. It might be top 10. Yeah, it might be top 10.
Okay.
It might be if they can stay healthy. Their defense is still atrocious. They still have a pretty good defensive line.
Defensive line's not atrocious. They got this kid out of Louisiana Tech, Milton Williams. Milton Williams out of Louisiana Tech. This guy's a monster. Just throwing people out of the way.
We'll see.
I think Derek Barnett playing for a contract. I think Derek Barnett, former first-round pick. I think Derek Barnett might lead this football team in sacks.
As I said,
they really do.
Their linebackers aren't very good.
Linebackers are not. I mean,
their quarterbacks. You got an old man out there.
You have Nelson and Slay. I mean, Nelson started on a playoff team last year. A lot of guys start on playoff teams that aren't that good. That doesn't mean that he's okay. But I mean, he started on a playoff team. You got him for 1 year, $3 million or some discount contract like that. That's an improvement. That's a sneaky improvement because Avonte Maddox stinks and he can't play. And I'm sick of people trying to tell me he can play because he can't. You know, you have Anthony Harris and Eric Wilson coming over from the Minnesota Vikings. Eric Wilson's a linebacker who is Brian Urlacher compared to the linebackers I saw on this team last year. And Rodney McLeod officially is not going to be ready for the start of the season. That was announced today. You have Anthony Harris coming over from Minnesota to be safety, and then you have a black hole at your second safety spot. Hopefully it can be young guy Kavion Wallace, who hopefully can do something. But I don't know. I look at this roster and what we just went through in terms of the trenches, and I don't think that this is a 3-4 win football team. I think they're a cut above that. I think that they're going to be more that 6, 7, 8 range and be in the mix for a division championship. I think Miles Sanders is going to have a big year. I think Nick Sirianni is actually going to commit to the run.
I do think Miles Sanders can be a game changer. I would agree with you on that. He's a real good player.
I think he goes over 1,200 yards this year running.
Listen.
He's a volume back. The statistics prove it. When you give him 20-plus touches in a game, he has great games, 120, 130, 140 yards rushing. Doug and whatever kind of dynamic they had in calling the offensive plays the last couple of years, the run game got neglected. I don't. That won't happen under Nick Sirianni. I guarantee it. If Nick Sirianni is a throw-happy head coach, I'll be shocked, especially with the personnel he has on this team. And then you have Devontae Smith, who everyone in Philadelphia is really excited about, deservingly so.
Well, he should be. It should be fun to watch him play.
And then you have two tight ends.
He looks like a very good prospect.
Another thing that Doug Peterson didn't do enough of, and another offensive caveat he ignored, was 12 personnel. He did not have Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz on the field at the same time enough, especially with the bad receivers that we have here in Philadelphia. Even though we're excited about Devontae Smith, these receivers still stink. Like Quez Watkins, give me a break. Travis Fulgham might get cut. Greg Ward isn't good. Jalen Reagor, we'll see. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside can't play. So even though we have Devontae Smith, and that's going to be exciting, it looks like, the Eagles receivers, they still blow. So you got to get these two tight ends in the mix and involved early and often. That's Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. I think Zach Ertz is going to have a big bounce back year. You look at it logically, Brad, which is what we try to do here and tell people the truth on the Sports Hounds. Look, Zach Ertz was one of 3 elite tight ends in the league before last year. It was Ertz, it was Kelsey, and it was Kittle. So in 1 year, I'm just supposed to say Zach Ertz fell off. Zach Ertz had his head up his ass all last year because of his contract and the business side of football. He let it affect him, and he wasn't focused, and he hurt his ankle, and he had an injury-plagued season. Zach Ertz is going to get back up to that upper echelon tight end pedigree.
I don't think you're going to see 100 catches from him anymore, Rob. I think that's
I agree with
that. If he can give you say 50 to 60 catches, though, that would definitely help the offense out an awful lot.
He's going to be a safety blanket for a young quarterback along with Goddard. He's going to be key in the red zone along with Goddard, and they need both those guys to step up. So tight ends I like. The trenches I like. Corners, I like the 2 starters. I don't know what's going to happen if the 2 starters get injured. Safety and linebacker is a big question mark. I love the tight ends. I love Miles Sanders, and the receivers stink. That doesn't scream 3-4 win football team to me. Does that scream division champion?
That division, and listen, in the NFC East, as much as I hate to say it, anything can happen. I mean, it really can. It's a pathetically bad division. And then a 7-9 team won our division last year, which is just
unheard of. Yeah,
it's really kind of embarrassing. But I mean, a 6-10 football team actually almost won it last year, and could have won it last year, which is even more preposterous. So listen. The whole thing in Dallas is still a big fat question mark. There's no lock with Dallas. So,
Brad, it's a quarterback. The only thing I go back to when I'm handicapping this NFC East is who's the only team in the division with a franchise quarterback.
That would be the Dallas. That's the Dallas Cowboys.
So how do they not win this division? And look, we've seen it all before with Dallas. Expectations through the roof. Romo, Owens, all kinds of talent. Dak, best offensive line in the league. Pretty good defense. Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb. We've heard it all before with Dallas, but like,
no question, Rob.
If they can't win it this year in a week, and I think the Giants stink. The Eagles are down, and I think Washington definitely has pieces, but I don't trust their quarterback at all, Fitzpatrick. And I think that we went through their schedule a couple weeks ago. They got to play a first place schedule. You got to play the Bills.
Washington's schedule is brutal. That's the whole problem.
Now schedules are fluid.
No, I realize that, but at the same time, it is a situation. It's a tough situation. It really is, because Washington. First of all, you're going to deal with Ryan Fitzpatrick. right? So, do you really trust him? No.
Sorry, 6'2", Phillies, a bases clearing triple.
Huge,
Bases
huge
juiced
hit.
for Ronald Torres. So 6'2".
Big toe once again coming through for the Phillies.
This guy Josiah Gray on the Nationals, he just gets barreled up way too much.
He's still
just
a
not
young
that
kid.
good.
He's a young kid. Wasn't he part of the Trey Turner trade?
I believe he was, yes.
Boy, what an awful play.
And then they actually let the kid, the Ruiz, the catcher, the centerpiece of that trade, is actually making his debut tonight behind the plate. So it's a new era in Washington. Anyway, what were you saying about Fitzpatrick?
Fitzpatrick is the kind of quarterback that would scare me silly because he can be so bad at times. He's not consistent enough. That's the problem. I mean, he'll have his games where Washington's going to score 40 points, and then he's going to have his games where he throws 5 interceptions, and that's Fitzpatrick. That's who he is. And if you happen to be the victim of one of those 40-point outbursts where he has 5 touchdown passes, then that's highly unfortunate. But if you happen to be in the area of when he has one of those games where he's completely incompetent, and I can give you a couple examples of that. I can remember, what was it, 2 years ago when the Giants played Miami, or was it last year? No, it was last year. Did the Giants play Miami last year or 2 years ago?
It was probably 19.
19, okay, yeah, it was 19. Fitzpatrick came into Giant Stadium and he got killed. I mean, I think the Giants sacked him like 5 or 6 times. He threw like 5 interceptions, had a couple of fumbles. He had one of those games where they had to take him out and they put in Haskins. Haskins, I'm sorry. They put in Haskins. Haskins wasn't much better, mind you, but he has those kind of games in him. He just does. I mean, when he had all the talent in the world with the New York Jets a few years ago, when the Jets were 10-6, if you recall, he had a chance for that team to make the playoffs against the Buffalo Bills at 10-5, and Buffalo was not the Bills we know today. Okay, and he went in there and he had some real good receivers. If you remember back then, he had Marshall and that whole group of guys. He spit the bed. I mean, he just didn't play well, and he cost I think he threw 3 interceptions and he cost the Jets a playoff spot. And that was the last time the Jets had a competitive team.
Yeah, that's the point. Bill Middlebrook, the week schedule thing is a joke. Tell me how our schedule is easier than Washington football team. What, the Jets?
Washington has to play the Green Bay Packers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the
the Eagles play the Lions. The Washington football team has to play
the Packers.
The Packers. The Eagles get to play the Jets. The Washington football team has to play the Bills. So that's just 2 examples of how the first place schedule it really works against. I mean, those are 2 drastic ends of the scale in terms of
and then the Eagles get to play. The Eagles get to play. Is it the Panthers? We
play that whole.
Oh, you guys. We play that division. Okay.
We play the South. We play the NFC South and the AFC West.
Okay, so the Eagles will get to play the Cardinals, who are eminently more beatable than having to play the Seattle Seahawks.
No, the Eagles are going to play the Niners.
Did the Niners finish last?
Yeah.
Boy, they got screwed. They really got screwed then because the Niners are a much better football team.
That happened. They were all injured.
Yeah, I know they were. And I didn't realize they came in last. I thought they came in. That's right, they did come in last. Because the Cardinals were.
Who won that? Did Seattle win the West last year?
Seattle won the West, and the Rams beat them.
So Washington's got to play Seattle,
right?
As well,
right.
So they got to play. They got to play the Bills, the Seahawks, and the Packers because they finished in first place. Whereas you look at the Eagles, they're going to play the Jets, the Niners, and the Lions. As in that
2-1, they'll go at least 2-1 with that. Maybe 3-0. So
Bryce Blackwell, our schedule is hard to me. A lot of teams got better. Yeah, but the Eagles aren't that good of a football team. So like you can't really sit there when you have a bad football team to say, it's an easy schedule or a hard schedule.
no, well, listen, the way the Eagles played last season, all the games are going to be hard right now.
I want to go through the Eagles
until further notice.
So here we go. I am doing my official Eagles win-loss predictions. Let's see, because I've done this a couple times with.
Well, we did this once, and I think we got to 8-9, I believe.
Hey, if they win 8 games, that means Jalen Hurts was good. Not great, but good. It means the Eagles win 8 games. That means I'm not spending one of my 3 first-round picks on a quarterback.
Yeah, I think that dream is going to be. I think you can forget about that dream. I think you're definitely going to be taking a quarterback in the first round. And I'll tell you what: if the Giants don't, if Daniel Jones doesn't stand up and become a franchise quarterback this year, or at least be very, very close to a franchise quarterback, you might see the New York Giants looking to pick a first round pick.
Well, I already know that Daniel Jones stay. All right, here's my official.
Yeah, but he's still better than Jalen Hurts. Thank God for that.
I disagree.
Yeah, I couldn't
We'll see.
agree more. I think Jalen Hurts stinks.
All right, the Eagles are going to open in Atlanta. That's a win.
No, that's a loss. They're not going to win on the road.
They are going to win.
They're not good enough to beat anybody on the road right now.
They're going to beat Atlanta, and we've
Matt
won.
Matt Ryan is going to pick them apart.
Incorrect. 1-0. San Francisco. San Francisco week 2. That's 1-1.
That's 0-2.
Dallas at Dallas.
0-3.
Monday Night Football. Stop it. Would you stop it?
They're not winning in Dallas. Come on, Rob. Maybe
when do they play? When do they play the second game? I'm going to give them a win there. 2-1.
0-3.
2-1. Then they're the Chiefs at home. That's a loss.
Oh no, that's a win. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's not. 0-4.
They're not going to be. I'll be very surprised if this team's a bottom feeding team. I really will be.
They're really
maybe I'm reading too much of the beat writer stuff on Twitter and Facebook. But
because you guys have a very bad habit of overrating every team that you have. You guys always think
the Giants are going to go to the playoffs, and they fucking stink.
Because the division stinks. If they were in a normal division, we wouldn't be talking like that. But you know what? If they happen to go 8-9 or 9-8, they can win the division because the division is pathetic. So yeah, why not? I mean, I think they've got better players on the team. They got a better roster this year than they did last year. They definitely have more weapons. Why not?
All right, I'll give you a loss at Dallas. So we're 1-2, 1-3 with the loss to Kansas City.
Yeah, I got them at 0-4.
At Carolina, they'll win at Carolina.
Nah, they're gonna lose that game too.
No, the Eagles' defensive line. The Carolina has no offensive line. The Eagles' defensive line is going to eat them up. 2-3.
Just like the Bengals.
No, hold on. I keep doing this. I always lose track. I have a win at Atlanta, loss at Dallas, 1-2. October 3rd at Kansas City is 1-3. 2-3. Tampa's a loss.
That's
2-4. 2-4. They're not going to be 0-6. I'll bet you any amount of money right now they don't start the season 0-6.
They're going to be 0-6.
They're not going to be 0-6. Do you want to bet?
Lucky, maybe 1-5.
The Eagles are the
maximum 1-5. Most likely 0-6.
I'm 2-4. Then they're going at Vegas. That's a win.
Maybe they're in Vegas. Yeah, they'll probably beat them. They're not good. Okay, so 1-6.
You keep confusing me with your nonsense fake news predictions. Like, I can't concentrate.
No, these are my honest
They're
predictions.
not going to be 0-6.
I think the Eagles are one of the worst
Whatever you
teams.
want right now.
They
the
are
Eagles
one of the
not
worst
going to be
teams
0-6 in their first 6 games.
They not done enough.
They'll be more than
improve themselves.
I'll set the over under right now 1.5 wins in the Eagles' first 6 games, and I'll take the over, and I'll win it'll be the easiest money I've ever cashed ever.
Wonder what Vegas says about that, or Atlantic City.
Their win total 6.5, which I think is a fair number. I think it's a fair number, so I'm not going to bet on it because I think it's a fair number. I'll find other shitty numbers out there that I think I can make money on. But if you held a gun to my head and asked me if the Eagles are going to win over or under 6.5 games, I would go with the over.
I would say under.
So Atlanta's a win. The Niners are a loss. The Cowboys are a loss. The Chiefs is a loss. Carolina's a win. Tampa Bay's a loss. So that's 1-3, 2-3, 2-4 through 6. Then you get into a schedule where you beat Detroit.
I'll give them a win. I'll give you the win there.
You beat Vegas and Detroit, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
So now they're 2-6.
That's 4-4.
Yeah,
I'm not listening to you.
Oh, the reality. You're listening and you're dreaming right now. 2-6. Go ahead.
So having them 4-4 through 8 games is dreaming.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, then you got the Chargers coming to town. That's a loss.
That's a loss, so that's 2-7.
At Denver,
2-8.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Not that they're not. That's not a winnable game.
I have it as a loss.
I think you're picking their record more along the line of winnable games instead of wins. Because I think they have some winnable games. I just don't think they're going to win them. I don't think that they're the type of team that's going to be able to close.
Need the rest of the schedule up here. So I'm at 4-5 through 9 games.
I'm at 2-7.
New Orleans at home.
That's a swing game. I'll give them a win there.
I can't even give them a win there.
I'll give them a win there. I think
because I'm getting more optimistic about the Saints as we get closer to the season. Then I'll have them. We'll beat New York. New York at the Giants, at the Jets.
4-7.
That's win.
3-7. 3-7. So that's 3-8. They'll beat the Jets. So that's 4-8.
Then I'll have. Then there's 4 left. 2 versus Washington. We'll give them a split there.
I'll give Washington both wins there.
Loss.
They won't be able to score against them.
And then a loss, win. So we'll split the division. So that's what?
5 wins at the most.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have them 8-9.
Which is what you had them last time. I had them at 5-12.
So I have them 8-9. I don't think that's going to be good enough to win the division because I think Dallas is going to win 10 games.
I got news for you. 8-9 might be good enough.
It might be, but I don't think it will be.
If they go 8-9, they'll have it. Then you will be very happy at the end of the season because you will be in it the whole way. I just don't think that that's going to happen. I think they're going to get off to a terrible start, and they might get better as the season goes along. But they're going to end up having to play their young guys because I just think that a lot of these older guys need to get moved out.
All right, let's get in the prediction. Let's get into prediction time.
Okay.
Let's Start in the NFC. We'll start in the NFC.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to pick the Cowboys.
I'm gonna
in the East. Nobody else is going to be in the wild card.
So, Brad, I'm gonna write them down. So I like Dallas, and you like Dallas.
Yeah,
I
unfortunately,
mean, it pains me to say it, but I mean they're the only team in the division with a franchise quarterback. So I got to go with Dallas.
And they have the best running back, and they have the best receivers.
The NFC North is going to be Green Bay for me.
Yeah, Green Bay will have that division clinched by week 10.
It doesn't look like a good division.
It's really going to be bad.
Okay, so the NFC West. Your NFC West champion is who, Brad?
Seattle. And I like the Rams and the 49ers as wild card teams. And you know what? I'm going to pick Tampa in the South, and I'm going to take the Saints as the 7th wild card team.
So you like the Saints?
Yeah. I just think that, you know what? I'm not high on the Saints, but I think that they're going to, just by muscle memory, they're going to find a way to.
I think Jameis is going to have a good year.
Yeah, look, they still have a really good defense. Nothing really changed with their defense. And they didn't lose to Green Bay because of their defense either. They lost because they couldn't move the ball because Breeze just didn't have it anymore. His arm was he didn't have a strong enough arm anymore.
I like the Rams as a wild card for sure. I like the Saints as a wild card.
Yeah, I just don't see who else. I mean, the NFC is not very good right now. And I just don't see other teams sneaking into the picture. Like the AFC is loaded with a bunch of good teams. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. The AFC is a lot harder to predict than the NFC. I think the NFC this season is pretty easy because I just think there's a lot of bad teams in the NFC.
It's like we're basically on the same page. I'm just trying to figure out if I should pick San Francisco or Minnesota. Like, who's next up if I don't pick San Francisco? Like, who else can I put in the mix?
Minnesota. I just
could.
They were so bad last year.
On
And Cousins was terrible, huh?
Cousins
Their defense fell apart last year. Their defense fell apart last year, though, Rob. Don't you think? It's like they fell off a cliff.
Well, their defense wasn't good. They need better effort out of their defense.
That's what I'm saying. Their defense was real. Their offense wasn't all that great, but their defense was horrible last year. How many games did they lose to bad teams last year? I mean, really bad teams. That's why now they're another year older, and I don't see where they made any real major improvements on that team.
Yeah, you just have to hope that. I think the Bears are an interesting team if they let, but they're gonna let Andy Dalton ruin their.
Yeah,
they will. Their season.
Justin Fields. The thing with Justin Fields, if you let Justin Fields start the season, okay, and let him get the yips out the first 2 or 3 games, then they have a chance to actually be a pretty good team because they'll start getting better as the season goes on. But if you're going to wait till week 3 to put him in there, that's a mistake. I mean, you know, it's not like you've got Aaron Rodgers starting over him. You've got Andy Dalton, who's 1,000 years old, and
here's their schedule. Here's the Vikings schedule. So you have Cincinnati week 1. They should win that.
That's a win.
At Arizona, I'll give them a loss there.
That's a loss.
Seattle's a loss.
That's a
loss. So now you're at 1-3 quick. And you got Detroit. You should beat Detroit.
You'll beat Detroit 2-3.
2-3. At Carolina.
They'll probably win that game.
So now you're back to 3-3.
Maybe. Maybe not. I mean, that's not guaranteed with the Vikings. I can't guarantee anything with them. I'm really, really undervaluing the Vikings.
Then you have a 5-week stretch of Dallas, Baltimore, Chargers, Packers, Niners.
Those are all losses.
They're not as good as any of those teams. Then you take a break. Then you take a break with Detroit.
What's their record at this point? 2-6?
No, we got 3.
3 and
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's potential 3-8.
3-8. Okay,
They beat Detroit.
Okay, I'll give them 2 wins against Detroit, but Detroit's going to beat somebody. You know that.
Then you have Pitts. Then you end with Pittsburgh, Los Angeles, Green Bay again, and 2 against Chicago. They're not making the playoffs. Sorry.
Nope.
I can't do that.
Nope. It's got to be the Saints. Just
no. I'm debating the Niners as an in or out.
The Niners are going to be good. They're going to have all their players healthy again. Hopefully for them, they don't. You would expect some guys to get hurt again because that just seems to always happen in the NFL. But you would expect most of them, or at least half of them, to play most of the season. So that should be good enough. That team has still got a good offensive line. They've got a nice little group of running backs.
So I have 1 seed Green Bay, 2
That's
seed
probably accurate because of the division.
2 seed Tampa, 3 seed will be Seattle. 4 seed is Dallas, and the wild cards. 5 will be the Rams. 6 will be the Saints, and I'll have the Niners as my last team in.
And only one team gets a bye now, right?
Right. So Green Bay. I think Green Bay is going to the Super Bowl. They've had the championship game disappointments galore the last couple of years. This looks like it's going to be their last chance with Aaron Rodgers. They have Devontae Adams. They have Tunyon at tight end, who's emerged.
Jones is their running back.
Aaron Jones is really good. They're pretty good in the trenches. They have a pretty good defense.
Yep.
And
it does smell like the back, but I'm still going to go with the Rams. I think this is going to be their year.
So you got the Rams in the NFC.
Yep, I'm going to take the Rams.
You have the Rams. You have the Rams getting in there as a wild card to the Super Bowl.
That's correct, but I think that they're going to win. They're going to get to the Super Bowl. Lots of wild card teams have gotten to the Super Bowl. That's not going to be the first time.
I don't know. I don't like that.
You know what, Rob? I'm looking at Sean McVay. Okay? Pretty good coach, right?
Yeah.
He got quite a bit out of Goff. And I don't think Goff was very good.
I think you're right.
But I think he got all he could possibly get out of Goff. Now you got a guy like Stafford who has everything to gain and nothing to lose now going out there. And I think Stafford's going to have a big year. I think he's going to be a top 10 quarterback, and I think that team's going to be very tough to beat. They still have
more power.
Huh?
That'd be a fun NFC Championship game, Green Bay and
the Rams. Oh yeah, it would be. I mean, listen, the Rams are built the right way to take down the Packers because of Donald and because of Jalen Ramsey, and they're going to be able to run the ball with Michelle.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm just handicapping it. Anything can happen. Some of these guys can get hurt. Who knows? I feel like this might be McVay's best chance to get back to the Super Bowl again. I mean, he got to the Super Bowl with Goff, and he was not good. And I think a lot of people probably don't like Stafford. I've always liked Stafford.
I've always liked Stafford. I think
he's got a ton of ability, and if he was with even a remotely good team the last 2 years, you would have seen a lot different player.
I feel really good about Green Bay going to the Super Bowl. I know you like the Rams, but I feel really good about
I wouldn't be. Listen, Rob, if you're putting a gun to my head, okay, between Green Bay and the Rams, I would ask you to point it the other way because I couldn't sit here and tell you with certainty either one of those teams who's going to win until I actually see
Right.
both play.
So let's go to the AFC. More good teams in the AFC, I think. This is going to be tougher.
AFC is going to be significantly tougher. You can make an argument for a lot of teams.
So we'll start in the East, and we don't see Buffalo losing that division, do we?
No.
So we got the Bills.
Now, is New England going to be any better this year than they were last year? I would say yes.
I don't know if they're going to – do you think they're going to make the wild card?
No, I think Miami is going to be better. Is
Miami,
better.
and I think Miami takes a step back.
You think?
I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I just think they're going to have a better record than New England. I think it's going to take 10 to 11 wins, the AFC, to make the playoffs. I think it's going to take 11 wins to make the playoffs in the AFC. I don't know that the Dolphins are going to win 11 games. That's asking a lot. I think the Patriots are probably going to be 9-8. I think they're going to be an improved football team, but I don't think they're going to be good enough to make the playoffs. I think the Jets will be a lot more competitive, but they still have a ways to go. The Jets are a 5 to 6.
The AFC North, I have Cleveland winning the division.
Yeah, I'm still going to go with the Ravens.
And I'm going to type in Pittsburgh as my top wild card. I don't know if I don't think I'm going to be picking the Ravens.
Roethlisberger just looked washed to me last year. I don't know. And the Steelers were really going the wrong way towards the end of the season.
Yeah, but I think I'm big on the Najee Harris factor in Pittsburgh. I think he's going to be pretty good. I think he's going to give them balance. I think their defense is good. I think Big Ben is still good enough, and he's got pretty good receivers.
I don't know. I think Big Ben might be the problem, to be honest with you.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know that their offense.
They've got one more in them.
I don't know that their offensive line is that good. I mean, last year, most of their offense was.
I don't know about the Ravens. The Ravens
and dunking. I think the Ravens are going to be formidable as always. I think they're going to win a lot of games.
I think a lot of things around Baltimore scream regression. The quarterback. They're still going to win a lot of. They're still going to win a lot of games, though. I could see them being 13-4 easily. I'll take the under on that. Did the Patriots figure out Lamar? They lost their starting running back. They traded their starting right tackle.
They still have Williams and they still have Edwards. And Lamar runs the ball enough. We'll get plenty of yards running the ball.
I don't know. I think it's going to be tough sledding in the AFC.
They're good. They got better receivers now. Listen, the Browns are really good.
I love the Browns. I love the Browns.
The Browns could be a Super Bowl contender. They could knock Kansas City off. But I'm going to go with the Ravens for right now. I got the Browns as a top wild card.
AFC West. We like the Chiefs.
Chiefs, followed by San Diego, Denver, and then the Raiders.
I love this roster in Denver, but I'm not.
I don't think Denver's. Yeah, but I don't think Denver is. Denver has not yet found a franchise quarterback.
No, they have not.
Justin Herbert is, without question, in my opinion, a franchise quarterback. I mean, he looked superb last year.
It's always something with the Chargers, though. It's always.
I know it is. You're right.
Always has been.
You're right, but you know what? They got a different quarterback now, so maybe now it will be different.
And then you have Denver's roster is just so good. I mean, you draft Surtain, you got Simmons, you have Von Miller, Bradley Chubb. You know, Judy's a pretty good their Noah Fant's a good tight end. Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon's a good running back situation. Offensive lines. Teddy Bridgewater's their quarterback. outside of quarterback.
Teddy,
I love Denver's roster outside of Teddy Bridgewater.
I'm thinking about Teddy Bridgewater, and you know what, Teddy Bridgewater, if he can be, and I know this is probably not a compliment, but if he could be Alex Smith, Denver can be a big factor. If he can be Alex Smith and just play smart, not commit a lot of turnovers, complete some big passes during the season. He's not the kind of guy that's going to throw for 300 yards every week. But if you can get that 220 with say 3 touchdowns, in big games, they could, because they got a good defense and they do have some offensive players. And Bridgewater's not terrible. I'm not crazy about him though.
I think they finished second in the West, and I'm going to hold off on.
Yeah, I'm going to put the Chargers in second this year.
Vegas stinks.
Yeah, they're going to be last. That we can agree on. But picking between Denver and the Chargers is going to be tough.
And then you got the AFC South.
I think Tennessee has to be considered the favorites at this point. That Bryce Blackwell feels that Teddy is better than Locke, and I agree with you, Bryce. But Locke is not good, though. So, how much better, as I said, if Teddy doesn't commit the turnovers and he can be a game manager and play smart, not commit a lot of turnovers, Denver can come in second for sure. I just don't know if he will do that. And health is always a concern with him too because of his knee.
Here's their roster according to NFL.com. I like their running back. I like this kid from UNC that they picked in the second round. Like him a lot. Cortland Sutton.
Well, he better be good if he's a second round.
Justin Simmons is one of the
picking running backs in the second round. Yeah, they better be good.
Von Miller.
Von Miller is still.
They have Asante Samuel Jr. That's why I brought it up. I thought he was on Tampa. Asante Samuel's on the Chargers. Asante Samuel Jr., that is.
Oh, okay.
He's not on the Broncos. Chargers, yes, thank you. John Malmush checking the AFC East. Buffalo 11-6, Patriots 9-8, Dolphins and Jets 5-12. South, it looks like he likes the Titans. Who has the worst record this year in the league, and what is it? I mean, the Texans.
The Texans stink. The Jets stink. The Bengals stink. And
I'm going to go with the Texans. Texans at 2-15.
2-50, yeah. I think the Jets are going to be 4-13. The Bengals, I think, are going to get 5 to maybe 6 wins if their quarterback stays healthy. And Jacksonville, I could see 4 wins maybe for them. What were they? They were 1-15 last year, right?
Who?
Jacksonville. So they'll have a 3-game improvement. They'll win 4 games this year. I think at the end of the season, Lawrence is gonna have some real strong games. I think he's going
to have strong games right off the bat. I don't think their problems are going to be him. That guy's a stud.
I agree, but I think it's just going to be hard. It's going to be an adjustment for him because they just don't have a lot of talent. He's going to have to figure out what he can and can't do with the players that he has. That's the only thing I see that's going to be a problem for him. I mean, I think I always liked him.
I like the Colts in the AFC. South
to win the division?
Yes. I think Carson's going to have a strong season. I know he's off to a little bit of a rough start. He's on the COVID list now because he refuses to get the vaccine and he's got his foot thing. But it doesn't look like he's going to miss any games. And I do think Carson Wentz is a franchise quarterback. I just do. That's been my opinion throughout this whole time. I'm picking the Colts in the West.
You know what? I think the best thing that could have happened for him was get the hell out of Philadelphia.
Big time.
Listen, Philadelphia is a tough place to play.
He couldn't handle it.
No.
He can barely handle the Indianapolis media is crushing him.
Rob, did you hear about Javier Baez yesterday?
Oh, what a joke. Yeah.
I mean, in case you guys didn't hear, I know we're talking
Pilar and Lindor want to put their thumbs down when they get on base
because they're getting booed. And you know what the first comment was? Who said somebody on the WFAN today said, well, why don't you go play in Philadelphia and see how you like playing there?
Any of them. What do you think? What do you think? If the Yankees were 2 and whatever in their last however many games, that the Yankees fans wouldn't be booing everybody? Phillies fans, Boston fans, any of the fans, Dodger fans.
They boo the hell out of Stanton. What do you think would happen with Baez? Holy crap! And then he's crying. He's crying because he's not. Can you imagine a guy crying? Guys crying because they're getting booed because they suck and they're making $20 million a season. We suck, but don't boo us. Even though we're making $20 million a year, we suck, and it's okay that we're losing all the time. Don't you dare boo us because you'll hurt our feelings. Oh my God! If they were playing in the Bronx, and they acted that way, they would be. I mean, you hear how they treat Jose Altuve and Alex Bregman and Carlos Correa on the Astros? They'd be saying the same words to Baez and Lindor. Boy, what a bunch of jackasses! I mean, you're booing the fans, the ones who show up and pay your salary, and you played like shit. You played like you've embarrassed yourselves. You've embarrassed the city of New York, and you've embarrassed your poor fans, and you're crying about it and giving them the thumbs down. Holy crap! Just all I can say to that idiot Baez is, don't sign in Philly and don't sign in Boston. Okay?
Yeah, go to St. Louis or Kansas City or somewhere in the Midwest like that. But that's why I like Carson in Indianapolis.
Yeah, go to one of those teams and they'll kiss your ass even if you. But
the media in Indianapolis is not kissing Carson Wentz's ass. It's quite the contrary. He's catching a lot of heat, Brad, for not getting this vaccine shot.
Well, he should. Listen, I got to tell you something, and it really, really pisses me off when these ball players aren't getting their COVID shots, and then they're missing freaking 10 days.
Well, you can still get. To be clear, though, Brad, you can still get coronavirus even if you're fully vaccinated.
I understand that. I understand that, but it's still if you get the shot, it's already been proven that when you get the shot, the disease you don't get it as bad. That's number one, and number two, you do have enough antibodies in your system that you won't show up positive in most cases. Okay, that has already been proven. So, no, there's no guarantee. It's not like polio where they were able to knock it out 100%. But you know what? These guys who don't get shots and then they get COVID and then they end up missing a week and a half, you know what? I'd be really pissed off at these guys. It's like, you owe it to your fans, you owe it to the city, and you owe it to the team that you play for to go out there and get a shot so that you at least have done all you can to stay healthy. That's just being self-centered and not thinking about everybody else. Plus,
and that's kind of been the narrative that the Indianapolis media has been throwing Carson Wentz's way. They think he's selfish and they think he's a me guy.
He was kind of that way in Philly, but you know what?
I'm shocked that if he's just like the biggest jerk off ever, and
I don't know.
It fooled everyone here in Philadelphia that thought he was just going to be this messiah of the franchise. That'd be something. That
Well,
would be something.
If he flames out in Indianapolis, I mean, I'd be shocked if that happened. By the way, I would be shocked. I don't understand these athletes not getting a shot. That I don't understand it. I mean, you can have your beliefs and all that other crap, but come on, if you end up testing positive and you're asymptomatic, you can get other people sick too. I mean, do they ever even think of that? I mean, listen, I'm as Republican as you'll ever find. Okay, I hate Democrats. I hate that whole thing. But when it comes to my protection, okay, I don't give a shit what anybody says. Hell, I got my shots. When there's the booster shots available, I'm going to get that. I'll wear 5 damn masks if I have to make sure that I don't get sick. I don't care. I don't want to die. I don't want to get that disease. My buddy lost his life, and now I don't get to go to baseball games anymore. So you know what? I take that pretty goddamn seriously. So, if you guys out there, for the ones that don't get their shots, I don't get you. I don't understand it. I don't get it. So, and it's not politics. It's your life, not politics. And stop trying to make it politics. Who gives a crap about the politics? It's silly.
It's true. It's well said. I'm trying to figure out my last wild card. So who are your?
Okay, my last wild card is I'm going to take the Chargers. I'm going to take the Browns, and I'm going to take the Colts.
I'm picking Denver. I'm just going to go for it.
Well, Denver is just as good as San Diego. Los Angeles. They're just as good. That's going to be a situation where whoever plays better against each other it could come down to that.
And I love this Cleveland Browns team, Brad. I love this Cleveland Browns team. I think they win the AFC. I think Baker finally silences all his critics. He's got the receivers with Odell and Landry. He's got the running backs with Chubb and Hunt. They have a great offensive line. They have a great defense. They have all the tools.
Scares me this year. I think he's going to come out and he's going to be smoking this year.
Like he's going to do good, you think?
Yep. Because I think a lot of people have cooled on him, and I think he's going to come back and he's just going to go nuts this year. I
had 2 fantasy football drafts over the weekend. I have Odell Beckham Jr. in both of them.
Well, I think
I got him in one of the later rounds in my snake draft, and I got him for $8 in my auction draft.
I think that's a steal.
$8.
Yeah, because you know what? People don't like him because he's kind of
he's a douchebag.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, he is. But boy, when he's fully engaged and he's playing, he's phenomenal. You remember what a great game he had against the Cowboys last year before he torches.
Shreds. So good.
He had 3 touchdown passes. He caught 3 touchdown passes in that game. In the first half, they couldn't stop him.
I'll tell you what, it wouldn't surprise me if he came out week 1 and had a game like that.
No, it wouldn't surprise me either. The guy is incredibly talented. And I think he's going to want to come back and he's going to want to shut up all his detractors. And listen, his best buddy in the world is on that team too, in Landry. I think he's got a good support system out there. I think he's going to have a fabulous year. With him, it's just going to be about being healthy. If he stays healthy, look out.
Steelers. So I have no Ravens.
Yeah, I'm gonna avoid the Steelers.
Titans. And then Denver. Denver's my wild card. Denver's my sleeper. I just love their roster, Brad. I just love their roster. Teddy Bridgewater can be okay. I think they're going to win some games there. They have a tremendous home field advantage. I think Vic Fangio's a good enough coach.
Rob, New Orleans beat Seattle in Seattle with him as quarterback a couple of years ago.
Correct.
It happened,
guys. I got the Bills versus Denver. The Bills will win that. The Colts and the Titans. I'll go with the Colts there. The Browns and the Steelers. I got the Browns. That South is going to be tough. Anyway, I had the Browns going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
The Super Bowl. I have Green Bay over Cleveland in the Super Bowl.
okay. I'm going to have to go with Kansas City and the Rams, and I think this is going to be the Rams' year.
So you like the Rams. I like the Packers. Thank you to everyone who liked, subscribed, commented on the show. Thank you to our great sponsors, Alan Foy Realty, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, Johnny Coyle down there at All Campus. You ever down? Summer's winding down. You still got a good September's good beach weather. So you go.
Oh yeah, we love it down here. By the way, because I was going to say nobody comes down here in September, so we have the whole beach to ourselves. We can go to all the restaurants and not get crushed out where we can't get in there. The casinos are a lot emptier, so that you can walk around without anybody, without having to wait. It's a lot. The atmosphere is a little easier to deal with because it gets so crowded in the summer down here.
Check out Johnny Coyle on the boardwalk. Flight Zone's coming up.
Ocean City is going to be fun this weekend, guys. So go down there and check them out.
Flight Zone coming up next. I'm sure they'll have a great show lined up. Hard to believe, summer flew by. Hard to believe a week from Labor Day. We're on the air next week, Brad. You do the show Monday night, even though it's Labor Day, right?
Yeah.
So we'll be here. We'll be here next Monday. Cap off your holiday weekend. Man, next Monday we'll be like 3 days away from Cowboys Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We get some early leans going.
The Cowboys. We can watch the Cowboys get their brains beat in.
I don't know if they're going to get their brains beat in. I looked at the line. I looked at the line today. It's 7.5. That's a lot.
Where's the game?
Tampa. The champ always plays at home on Thursday.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm just
They
thinking,
get their rings.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay beats it by 14, but
We'll see.
we'll see. Yeah.
I'm inclined to take the 7.5.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to take Tampa Bay and spot the points. I think they covered.
But we'll get into all that next week. Remember to turn on those notifications. Don't miss a damn thing here leading up to the NFL season on A2D Radio. He's Brad Ryer. I'm Rob Brinkman. Frank Vesby produced. Stay tuned for Flight Zone. Until next Monday, everybody, peace out.